This is how much we know about movies. We just if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it. Through the magic
you don't
of podcasting.
have to Google it. I'm just saying, just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I am the father.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. Well, it's okay. So speaking of movies and runtimes, before we get into the episode, so you're hearing all the stories that Avengers Endgame is going to be like 3 hours and 3 minutes long, right?
Yeah, the last one I read was that the like official runtime was like 3 hours and like 23 minutes.
Are you aware of like, does a runtime mean from the first time? It's not from the trailers, right? It's from when the movie starts, like, and then the end of the movie is when the credits roll, or after the credits are done.
I think it counts the like 10 minutes worth of credits in there.
Does it?
It's still at that point.
I mean, for Marvel
you're there
movies, you have to
because you're
stay
going to
anyways.
wait for a Marvel movie anyways, right? So you might as well count it. But yeah, it's right from the beginning of when like the end. I think it's right when the Marvel intro starts running.
The flipping.
That's runtime.
Yeah.
So basically everything you're going to sit there through that you would go, I'm not fucking missing.
Right, yeah, which is the fact they started putting. Okay, so at first, like something at the very end of the credits was cool. You could like get up, go pee, come back, and like wait through the rest of the people's names, and then boom, end credits. But now they have like something in the middle, and then something at the end. You're like, okay, so do I have 2 minutes until the end, or do I have 5 minutes until the end, or what do we have here? You know, and it's like, well, I've already waited this long. I may as well just wait a little bit longer. And we're getting older. Like, if I have to plan out like how much liquid I intake that day for the day I'm going to go watch Endgame, I want the next announcement to be like in a week from now that they're going to introduce an intermission for this movie. And why I understand why theaters don't do intermissions, because it increases the amount of time those folks who've already bought stuff and movie tickets are there, and they're not rolling in another batch of people to go pay for the same movie in the same screen. But on the flip side of that, everybody gets an intermission. Half of them are going to go buy more shit. And that's where most of your money from each individual place is probably making their money, is off just the concessions, because they're making money at 500% markup.
Yeah, I think the only way you're going to get an intermission in a movie is if it's like the Grindhouse films, where it's just two individual movies.
Hey,
at no point are they going to give you an intermission in any like single film.
We had one at that Tarantino one you and I went and saw. Hateful Eight had an intermission. I mean, that's Tarantino, so you expect it to be old school style.
Yeah, but that was built. I mean,
It was
built into his movie, though.
Agreed.
Like,
I completely agree with you. But I don't see a reason why they couldn't literally just find a spot to cut it.
I don't think that's part of their, because none of those movies are really like that. Like, even when there's a lull, it's like Captain America talking to somebody else, and the whole time, you know, Thor and like 10 other people are fighting. So you're like, cool, this is about to switch over, and there's going to be some shit going on in like 8 seconds. That it, like, I don't think you could cut them at anywhere that would be outside of a 1% agreement on anywhere you cut it, of people being like, yeah, that was a cool spot. Like, it was a great time for me to get up and go piss and fill my drink up and do it and then come back to the movie. Like, everyone would be like, why the fuck did you stop this right here? Like, why?
I argue... I dare to argue that anytime you're going to show me a name of a location or where it is, you know, like when they switch scenes and it says like nowhere, or, you know, Texas, or, you know, when it tells you when you're switching to a complete new location, I argue that's the best time to do that, because you've already made a logical cut in the action of what's going on. You're not going back and forth between them fighting on one planet and them fighting on another planet. and it's 3 hours. It's 3 hours credits.
I'm not saying like, yeah, when they pan and there's the big blocks on the ground, like that you couldn't make it happen. What I'm saying is if you do it, you're just like throwing in like a Molotov cocktail at the mob and going like, all right, guys, let's see what the fuck happens. Like,
I don't know. There's enough full bladders by that point that everybody's heading out to piss. Give me 15 minutes. Let me go piss. Let me go stand in line for more stuff, and then I'll go back in.
I think you think there's more people your age than there really are. Like,
it also keeps folks like my age who bring kids that are my kids' age in, and my son is not making it 3 hours without having to take a piss break. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, and I'm also of that group. Then like, don't bring your kid. Like,
I completely
like if that's the thing. Then like, if your kid can't make it for whatever it is you're planning. Like me, I fucked up at Disney thinking my kid could handle the spaceship. I was like, we got this. We can do. No, I fucked up. I should have never put my kid in that spaceship. That was poor planning on my part because I ruined the experience for fucking everybody on that ride. Like, I apologized for 10 minutes outside. I was like, I am so fucking sorry. Like, I fucked your guys.
What, Space Mountain?
No, it was like the little like landing on Mars simulator. And Brody was like in love with space and wanted to do it. And we sat down in that thing. But I didn't realize like you were going to have a fucking crash landing on Mars. Like, I should have paid attention to more of the story that was building up as we were walking through this thing. And I didn't. And I mean, like, it was like they made a thing like you could hit the eject button in front of you if the ride ever gets like so scary. Like, Brody's flipping out before this thing. And the worst part is that little eject button didn't work. So, like, it didn't stop our little machine. So, I mean, she made it through the whole ride. But it was a horrendous experience. And I'm also like, if you want to take younger ones to a movie like this, like, opening 2 weeks is not the fucking time to do it.
Also true.
You know, like, if you really want to see the movie that bad, like, go yourself and then go take your child to it later. You know, but like, don't bring your 5-year-old on opening night, you know, to the 10 o'clock showing because they're a Captain America fan. Like, nah, man.
Judge you as a parent.
Yeah, fuck right on home, dude. Like, get out of here. This is adult time.
Don't wheel that stroller in there and park it in the handicap spot. Don't you fucking dare.
Yeah, right.
What movie was that? You and I were at that. You and I were at a movie, and there was like a car seat, like a stroller that rolled in. And I was like, oh hell no. At least that kid was mostly quiet the entire time.
Yeah, that was like the perfect baby though. Like, that we lucked out with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only last theater movie I remember being in that was loud was maybe Jurassic Park. And then that was just, I believe the boy, I mean, he was mentally challenged in some way, but it was just him calling out like the dinosaurs on the screen and then like stating facts. Like, it got to the point where people in the group were like, yo, what's that? Like, we were hollering shit out, like getting this kid like to talk during the film and stuff like that. Cause we were all like, yeah, this movie's kind of fucking ridiculous, right? So it got to the point where crowd participation in my theater became a little more fun. So this young man ended up having a great night talking about this.
Yeah,
shit.
Right. It was very needed for that plot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to our podcast. We reviewed it. We talked about how great of a movie that was. Ugh. Okay, so
it's funny. It's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah,
like,
it's fun.
Just don't go there. Just don't go there because you want to be wowed for the story. Like, go there because you want to see dinosaurs.
You want to see dinosaurs on an island. You want to see dinosaur horror movie all smashed into one, like horror house movie. How the hell you got both those in the same plot? I will never understand.
Yeah, my daughter was showing me some. I think it was Screen Rant guy, or maybe it was Carl. Yeah, I think it was Carl, and like he does movie pitches now too. Mm-hmm. And so one of them was like Jurassic Park, and like so he was like pitching it, and they're like, yeah, you know, so we're gonna have the dinosaurs here at the auction. And he goes, oh, are you gonna take them to the island that's right next to the other island? And he's like, no, we're gonna bring them all back, and you know, because they don't want to travel. So I'm gonna bring all the dinosaurs here to the place, and they're like, but that doesn't really make sense. He goes, yeah, I know, but we're going to have one escape. He goes, oh, so it's for a sequel. He goes, yeah. He goes, okay, good. I'm fine with it. And then let's keep going.
Right. That's funny. So you and I talked a little bit, or messaged back and forth a little bit before we recorded tonight. And you told me that if you didn't see another Star Trek show, you would not miss. You would not miss it.
Yeah, this show.
This show, Discovery. If you didn't see another episode of Discovery, you would not miss it.
Yeah, like if Discovery stopped airing right now, I really don't think I would care at all. And it's not because I don't like the show. I'm just not. I realize like I'm not invested in it. None of the people that I wanted to be invested in are like they're not even given a chance in the show to be invested in.
Start that sentence over again because the internet like shit itself for a hot second.
Oh, okay.
You got the recording, and I'll just edit it through. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just like.
So just start over again.
I was like, did I not hear something?
There's something behind you.
I looked at the corner of my screen real quick. I was like, okay.
No clowns. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Oh, shit, dude, man. If I looked down there and there was a fucking clown mask behind me, you better be like rapidly 911ing that shit and give me my address because my heart will just stop. I don't know what it would do. It would try to go in separate directions, I feel like, at one time.
Yeah. Let's see. So you said, verbatim though, you said...
like you're pulling it up?
Yeah. I was like, if this show stopped tomorrow, I would not be pissed. I like it, but I realize I'm not invested in this show outside of the podcast. Which is fine, because I'm the Trekkie and you're not. But I kind of wanted you to, so give me some more on... And I don't... I'm not angered by your statement, and I'll explain that. Well, I'll explain that later. But so you were saying before the internet dorked up on us.
No, it's like I don't know. It's like they're not allowing me to care about these people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I mean, you got like Stamets' relationship, and that was super unique, and not even because it was them being gay. It was just an interesting relationship. Dynamic. You know, like it was. Kind of calm and collected Doc and like overly high strung, nerdy scientist guy. And like, it was a cool counter. But then they're like, nah, man, just fuck off with that. And then it's like, hey, Michael, I'm going to fucking throw a ball. And every time it's going to hit Michael. Like, it's just, it's like, fuck, man. Okay. And they do cool stuff. Like the show's visually pleasing. And even like the story that's going on now, like it's cool, but I really just don't kind of care about anybody on this ship. I mean, like Tilly's super fun, but even then, like now she's just kind of.
We didn't even see her this episode.
Over there. Like no one's, and I know Pike already has his backstory, and like they definitely hit on that this fucking week.
Mm-hmm.
But they're taking him away, which sucks. I mean, that. I knew that was coming. Like, and, Spock's going away. But now it's like, okay, so what are you going to leave me with that makes me want to, like, care? Because right now it looks like the ship's about to fucking disappear, too. So, like, what are we doing? And the more I was thinking about it is I was like, this is really cool. But the only problem I have with this is there's no trekking. Like, this is only because... As Spock put it, Michael is the fucking variable they can't account for. Like, and it's just so much that, like, what is it, Ex Machina or whatever? Like, just this hand of God thing that's like, okay, there's our main character. Here's everything. And it's like, homie, this is Star Trek. Like, you guys should be like, hey, dude, we saw some purple fucking space dust we never seen before on this weird-ass planet with these, like, aliens. Wow, let's go fucking check this out. And I get it. There's all this other war and story that's happened, but this narrow concentrated field of view like just doesn't allow me to care, because right now I know it doesn't matter what happens. Michael's gonna make it, Michael's gonna fix it, it's done. Like, it doesn't matter,
right?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have made this so much a key element of her that it's like figuring out who the bad guy is, like in the first scene of the movie. and then just knowing from then on out, like or like going into a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, you're like, I know he's gonna win. I'm only here because of the cool shit he's doing. Like that's why I'm here. But now it's like we know Michael, no matter what, the way they've written this, is gonna come out on top. And I really just don't care what story that is now. I just don't. Like, it's like, you have written this in such a way that no matter what crazy ass time crystal fucking stupid ass element you throw at me and moment of peril you put her in, you've already explained that she is the anomaly. Her sole function now is just to survive.
Right.
Basically, if she lives, whatever goes on with like the AI is gonna fuck up.
Okay. And I completely see where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with a lot of it. And that's weird to say as a Trekkie, because I understand that the storytelling is different now in 2019 than it was in the 90s or the 60s. Like, I understand that viewing audiences now are, for lack of a better term, and for lack of I don't know how to put this. For lack
of another better term.
For lack of a better term, the viewing audience is smarter. So we expect more. We don't need a spoon-fed hour of TV that wraps itself up nicely at the end of the hour. While that's fun at times and can be, if you're going to tell a long, but if you're going to do that, if you're going to tell me a long story that overarches the entire season, then each of your episodes, especially if you're a 15 episode or 14 episode season, you better pack a lot of stuff into each episode. And there has been, including this episode, numerous episodes this season that have been kind of filler. Like we didn't really advance your overarching plot that far. Like I should feel.
Yeah, like the plot didn't move.
Nothing moved this week. We got a time crystal, and we didn't have one last week. We saw what we knew we were going to see from like the Pike thing. Like you said, way fucking cool. Because I have another awesome idea about that later on, or like just the general gist of him from now on. It's going to be awesome. So you have that, and then you have what else happened. We also learned about what's her name's kid, but do we really need to? I mean, we didn't really need to, but we're on board. So, okay, cool. He grew up because of the time crystals. Big deal. And then at the very end, we're going to, hold on. At the very end, we're going to blow the ship up, which we absolutely know doesn't happen because of the short trek that showed it in the future by 2,000 years, sitting in some cloud, not being known it's there. So it's like, you leave me with a cliffhanger. It's not even a cliffhanger because we know it doesn't happen. So all you're doing is like, how are you going to tease me with something, but then get me back to what I know is going to be the end result? And we didn't move anywhere. We didn't get any more information. In fact, the writers of this episode felt the need to have Michael practically talk to the audience at the very opening scene where they're in the room getting briefed on the fourth red thing. As they're all starting to speculate on where it's coming from, she literally like almost turns to the camera and is like, we should stop worrying about where it's coming from because it's wasting time. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking to all of us? Like all of us who are wondering? Like, I'm sorry, writers. Why don't you move this shit along some? Shit. But on another side note, let's just talk about Pike real quick, because not real quick. It'll be a while. But so he goes down to Borth because you can't send Ash, you can't send Laurel because everybody thinks Ash is dead, and Laurel can't go down there either because she doesn't really have any whatever. What was her excuse for not going down there? Endangering the baby?
She has no authority. Well, no. Well,
and no authority too.
There.
They don't care.
They are Cleons, but they, as they said, they're all of no name, so they don't. Outside of that time crystal and like their religion, they're like, none of you all will ever tell any of us what to do. And I think once and especially since she said that, that place is almost a myth to most people. Like it doesn't even really exist in their collective minds
culture
anymore. It's when you say it, they're like, oh, Shangri-La or, whatever. They're like, got it. Okay.
What was that place again?
Yeah, what is it? Shangri-La. There we go.
No, it's not. That's
L's and R's, and his words are broken. Can't do it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's why no one pays me for this shit.
Yeah, well, the whole thing of Borith is like at some point when Kalish, or however they're gonna say it, was like on his way out. He said, he pointed to a star in the sky and said, find me on that star or something for my return. And that star is what turned out to be Borith. And that's where this like little group of like super like hardcore Kalis like religion folks traveled to, and they set up this. They set up this temple only for this, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's so. Another problem that I have with like the whole fact that Klingons literally have a mine of time crystals is there's nothing ever in any iteration of Klingons throughout the entire Star Trek universe that shows them as being a type of people who have like self-control and the ability to be like, you know what? We're not going to mess with that. Like, we're just going to leave that there and just guard that.
You know what though? I bet you that was like, when that group set out, to land and go do their mission, essentially, I bet you that crossed their mind. They're like, well, hey, man, we have a time crystal. Like, why don't we just go find him? Right? And then we all kind of saw what that time crystal did with them vibing with that plant, and then also realizing that the baby was like the 6'5" fucking Cleon standing there, like fully grown. And by the way, the coolest Cleon, like that dude had like an old man, like most interesting Cleon in the world, like vibe. Like that dude, like he's like rings, his decorative jewelry, like his cloak. Like I was like, I know you were just born like months ago, dude, but I feel like you already have a lifetime of stories. And the fact that like that weird tree thing just took off spouting, I really wouldn't be surprised if like one of the guys was like, yeah, I'm going to go find him. And they're like, okay, cool, test it out. And then it just like the time crystal just fucking evaporated his ass or something. And they were like, so we wait, like he said, okay, and then like,
now we're good.
That's how it started. But I also think because they like left the kind of Cleon quote unquote empire at the time or whatever was going on for this. And the fact that they were already like, none of you are going to tell us how this is going to go down. Like, this is our thing. I kind of wonder, like, it's kind of like when you realize the history of, like, holy books, and you're like, holy shit, dude, there was a lot of fucking religious wars. Right. And you, like, so, like, I'm wondering how many times, like, those guys, like, held off some, like, Cleon dude that was like, well, I'm just going to go, oh shit, that place is real. I'm going to go get that goddamn time crystal then. And like, they just started growing trees around his ass. And they're like, hey, by the way, your foot's a baby. Your head's fucking 10,000 years old. And by the way, we just like removed your Cleon wieners. So what's up, homie? Like,
yeah, right. That shit just fell right off. Well,
yeah,
we do know that either Leland or something during Burnham's, no, I think Leland mentioned the fact that the Klingons had kind of dorked around with time travel for a while, but it was that's why that Section 31 started developing their own suit, because the Klingons had started working on one, but then I think they stopped, probably because I'd love to know what they messed up. That's the story I want to see. That's the 15-minute like short track I want to see, is like the Klingon group who was working on time travel and what they screwed up. That would be. And then what you need is Van Damme as a Klingon, like in the test chair doing the time cop speech, like talking about the two guys smashed into the fucking wall with the time travel. Yeah, right. Like, oh god, that would make our podcast come full circle on so many fucking levels. It kind of would. Speaking of people who play Klingon, so this was new to you, and actually news to my buddy Luke as well, that is a fellow Trekkie that I talk to usually before the podcast to get some of his crazy, heinous ideas. But the guy that plays Tanavik is also the guy who plays Cole and Cole Shaw, which is Kenneth Mitchell, who's pretty much, the way I explained him to you was like, he's that guy who's in everything. You see him, you're like, oh yeah.
I was like, what did I put him as? They were like, yeah, get the Cleon that we need to talk.
yeah. We've taught this one guy how to speak in this with it, because they kind of did all kinds of voice lessons for a lot of the Klingons, that, like Mary Chieffo and Kenneth Mitchell, who did a lot of the speaking. A lot of the ones that speak a lot of English but are Klingons, they did a whole bunch of voice lessons to make them sound more alien-like when they speak. Even though they're speaking English, they have the inflections. I think they have too much makeup on Mary Chieffo, personally. She can hardly get her mouth to move to like actually make words. and it's getting to be a little bit distracting to me. I don't remember it being that bad season 1, but this season it's like, oh my gosh, like I feel like she can't even move her mouth that well, like the actress herself.
Yeah, I always noticed that it like it didn't seem like the outside was keeping up with the inside.
Do you think they actually had her? Do you think they actually had her dub it over, and it's just they're trying to get it to match as well as possible? That may be.
I also wonder if it's like one of those things where like there's actually a side story to it. You know, like it's an injury or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of wonder, because it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, you know, I had a speech impediment. You know, like I just
yeah, we're already on dyslexia.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it just I mean, she just got in a fight as a kid because her Cleons and her jaw was broke. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're most certainly correct. It's the
prosthetic.
Makeup. Like I just don't think her jaw is strong enough to move that whole thing the way it would need to look.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the only way, like at this point, is you have to have like a background story. Like if the uproar gets loud enough of like, hey man, you guys, like her mouth just isn't moving when she's talking now. Like what the fuck's going on? Like someone needs to be like, she got like slashed with a sword. I don't know, something, right? You know, like,
right.
But yeah, I especially when she was talking with Pike and Ash.
Mm-hmm. And that was a wonderfully uncomfortable scene.
And they like, but yeah, well, like when they were, well, at least when they were yelling back and forth at each other, you were too busy reading like the fucking screen to like keep up with it, you know? But like when they did the one where she kind of was talking about the baby and you could just see it was like her turning and there's like all of this emotion everywhere else, but then the mouth was just kind of like stuck at a 3/4 to a quarter like motion. You know, and I was just like, that's a little bit obvious. A problem. Like you gotta tell somebody about that if you can't talk with the makeup on.
Right. Like give her a break, something. Just a little bit less around the mouth so she can actually, because she's a fantastic actress. It's just like let her do her craft.
Mm-hmm. But because everybody else just seemed to move. That's why I wondered if it was actually like a, side story kind of thing.
Well, they need to tell it then. They're wasting enough time with other stuff. They may as well tell it.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna, let's say it is a side story, but is it like one of those things that you just leave until there's like enough uproar about it, and then you like, answer it, kind of thing? Just because it'll, like, those writers are brilliant little evil geniuses, like. Everything they do, I feel anymore now, most of the time, especially with these big shows, is like designing a game around microtransactions. Like everything they do is like, how do we keep them hooked? How do we keep them coming back? Like what things could we leave like in here that people will notice that someone will rant and rave about? Yeah, I mean, you're probably most certainly correct that it's just all prosthetics. But like I at this point, like I wouldn't be surprised if people are already, I mean, I'm thinking about it and I don't even write. Like you're telling me a writer in that room hasn't been like, what if we just gave him a limp and then never said anything about it, but like act like it's not really there until finally like everyone's like, dude, why the fuck is so-and-so always limping? Like what happened to him? What happened to him? And they're like, now we got him hooked. Backstory time.
Right. It's kind of like B.D. Wong's character in SVU when he was a psychologist all the time back in the earlier seasons. You know who I'm talking about, right? And then like the last season, almost maybe his last episode, like he made a statement that he was gay, like in some argument they were having, and like I was like, I don't think that's ever. I was like, not that it had to be addressed, but I don't think it ever was addressed. And you're leaving this like what? Why? It was like one of those things. I was like, are we just grabbing for ratings? Like, I don't understand. It was just weird. I remember it being weird. Not like gay is weird. Not like that. Just like, I'm like, that's something you've never talked about for 11 years.
I've been watching. I've been watching you for a decade, man. And we've never. God damn it! I feel like I don't know you anymore.
It's like you're gonna drop that. You're gonna leave the show. Great, thanks. I don't know. I don't even know who you are anymore. I don't even know what's up. Yeah, But yeah, a lot of drama. I mean, the first half of the episode was a lot of like soap opera. I mean, I hate to use the term soap opera, but it's like you had the Laurel Ash like blow up in front of the captain, which was great because he was like, okay, this is awkward because do I tell them I can speak Klingon? Like, I'm always like, do you understand what they're saying? Is it translating it for you right there? Because it probably is. And then even better before that, like when Tyler and Burnham had their moment in the thing and he's like, it's the home of my son. And she's like, I'm going to need to sit down. Let me sit down and let you finish telling this story, boo. Mm-hmm. So that was all, you know.
Well, I like Rel like being like, look, I get what this is. You know, like I love look, you're not him anymore. Like he's there. I know nothing will ever happen to my kid, but it was like funny watching them and almost kind of cute, like politely break up with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, because I just feel like Klingon breakups are never that civil.
Probably bloody as hell.
Right, yeah. Someone's dead at the end of it at some point, or a limb's lost, you know. Right. But I like how she did it. Like I think that, you know, Ash would have always been caught between the two, and she realized that and was like, I mean, I didn't really expect to ever see you again, but just so we're clear here, like this is what needs. This is how I feel, and this is what needs to happen. But it's cool because now it goes. Okay, now we can have an Ash and Michael thing.
Right.
Like, they've taken the third wheel that they brought in for no really, I mean, a very convoluted reason, but yeah, like, I don't know. It was almost like they were like, let's make a poll and see if people pick a Cleon over Michael, and then we may just, like, flip the fucking script here, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was very much like, this is what I hear humans call closure, so I'm giving this to you. Like you're good. Everybody can rest at ease now that Tyler's not two-timing you.
So. Yeah. I understand that you will always be broken until this is said.
Right, and it's good.
It was a very well, empathetic thing is the word, but it was a very human thing to do.
Yeah, and it was true. A weird way. Yeah, definitely weird to say that, but you're right, and it's very good that for his character's development throughout the series that. He hears from somebody who knew him before, knew him after, and can tell him, you're not Voke, you're not Tyler, you're something else, and you it's okay to explore that. You're someone completely new, and it's okay with it. You know, that's cool. Go do your thing.
Yeah.
So that was you know, the first part was cool. You got to see the D7 battle cruiser, like a nice back shot of it. They didn't really give me. I wanted like a good front shot. It was all like from the ass side, but it was the whole. I mean, the big old ship looks nice, very cool looking. I like the update to it. What else? So then we get Pike that volunteers. Okay, so let's talk about Pike a little bit. So we got to see that for their you know, they're not trying to do anything to mess up with the canon. So we see the training accident when he touches the crystal. We see the training accident. Where he gets the radiation poisoning, is all burnt up and all that good stuff. And then, of course, we do get to see him in the wheelchair, that's pretty wild. Like, that was pretty cool. Like, I'm not sure, and I don't even think, I hate to say that it was a really cool scene, then, like, shit on it, but I don't think we even needed, like, the very end part, like, when his face was, like, melting and he was screaming. Like, he could have just screamed, because you were already creepy enough.
Yeah, like, that was like watching a horror movie and everything is cool until the CGI blood splatter.
Yep. Yeah, it hits the screen, like, it hits the camera. And you're like, come on.
You didn't need that, man. Like, you could have just not even had blood, right? Mm-hmm. And it would have been fine. The man looked like people under the stairs times 10. Mm-hmm. Like, and I apologize because there are actual burn victims out there, but melted flesh will always be just a terrible thing to fucking see. Like, I don't know how else to, like, describe it. And you didn't need for then his face to, like, ripple like the fucking mummy effects and like start bubbling. And I mean, just seeing anybody seeing themselves like that, and like, especially at this point where the rules have already been told to him. They're like, look, dude, you watched this just grow a fucking plant out of nowhere. And you know I'm a baby that's a full-grown man.
You know I'm 12 weeks old.
Like, you know that everything I'm telling you is serious, right? Like, there's no, and he even goes, like, you can get out of this.
Just don't take the crystal.
Still, just don't fucking take it.
Right.
But yeah, you did not need the weird boiling piece at the end. Like, just him in that chair. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
That was enough. Like, you don't need to do anything else. Like, you've now overdone it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they took it one step too far. That being said, his reaction when you come back to the cave and like when he stumbles back and like the way he's screaming like that, I was like, kudos, bro. Like that was cool. Like I felt everything you were going for right there. Like as an actor, I was like, that was amazing. Like you were just like, that dude's fucking terrified. And then to watch him like center himself. And like start like I'm not sure if he was reciting like the captain's creed or whatever, but he was stating what a Starfleet captain is and like how it's a selfless thing and I'm sacrifice the greater good, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, that kind of stuff. Like you could watch him center himself and he's like, no, give me that fucking crystal. I was like, which on the other hand, if the cool thing about it, if what that Klingon who's 12 weeks old is telling you is true. And who looks really cool for being 12 weeks old. If what he's telling you is true, then you know that you are fucking invincible until you step into that room. Because you don't know when that is. And like, you and I have already speculated, like, oh, he may get injured because he's such a wild card. Like, we mentioned this way back at the beginning, because every time there was something dangerous, he's like, I'm on it. I'm like, well, no wonder you get hurt at some point in the future. But now you're not going to get hurt until that room. Shit, that's why I want to see that show. And there's like already petitions out for like CBS to like make a Pike show because people are like,
because honestly, okay, if the way they're writing this show is basically the way they need to write Pike show. They go, look, dude, you're just fucking Space MacGyver, and we're gonna put you in life-harrowing things, and you're gonna get out of them every fucking week because we know your ass is gonna die in that ship, but it's gonna be a fun ride. That would be sweet. But like when you're trying to pin it down on this whole new opening world and Michael be the only thing that's fucking moving it along, like it's not cool. It's not.
Right. Well, it's not a good thing when your secondary characters.
I really like Michael. Like I think she is dope.
Yeah.
Like, I like she's fucking no nonsense, get shit done.
Whoop some ass.
Yeah, but...
Fight Terminators.
It's too much solely her.
It's too much. Like, the universe is currently orbiting around her. She is the center point, and everything that exists is orbiting around her and her alone. And that's...
It would be cool if the marks were like other people like her, right? Like other anomalies that were trying to be taken out. And they're like, hey, we found these last like 12 anomalies. We know we need to go fucking get rid of them kind of thing. But like this just seems to be like there was one domino and we're just slowly watching it fall. Like, like there's nothing else moving.
Yeah. So yeah. And it's not good. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's not that your secondary characters are who all the fans are like, oh, let me see that guy's show. Oh, so you got, Giorgio's awesome, and she's the actress is queued up for TV, so let's do her show. Oh, hey, people are like, let's get a Pike show. Let's see Pike and Spock for a while. Like, but no one's, and everybody's like, yeah, I like Discovery. It's great because it's, there's a Star Trek show on, but it's not like it's the greatest thing ever in the world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be saying that as a lifelong fan of the the Star Trek universe, but it is when I'm focusing more on the fact that I have 2 more episodes of Pike and there's a very good chance I'll never see him again. It's like shit. I need to see like the 6 years between now and when Kirk takes over the Enterprise. You've got 5 seasons or 6 seasons of Pike and Spock just gallant fucking all through space, just doing whatever they do for 6 years. Spock getting a hold of his emotions, Pike knowing he's not going to die. And then the series finale can literally be like him welcoming on Kirk. And you don't even have to see Kirk's face. All you have to do is like have the turbo lift open up from behind in the back of the turbo lift and just see like the back of Kirk's head and Pike saying, welcome aboard, Captain Kirk. Cut to black. That's your series for Pike. That's all I need. That's what I need. I need 6 years of like the Pike and Spock show. That would be the shit. I think this is like exactly what we talked about last week, but I don't care because I really want it. And there are people putting out polls or GoFund, like not GoFundMe's, but the ones that are like when you vote, like you put in your name and shit. Like I was like, they were like,
like change.org.
Yeah, change.org for do a Pike show, CBS, and we're like, okay. But then like I started watching some YouTube videos that are people who like have dug into the legalities of the Paramount Star Trek movies and the CBS Star Trek rights, and why certain things have to look so different. Like, because we've been bitching for 2 seasons, or not we, but the Star Trek world has been bitching for 2 seasons. Why does it look so different? Why can't it be the same? Why can't, legally it has to be like 40% different than the original because of like licensing and shit. And like the Picard show is having some behind the scene delay problems because the toy makers and model makers are like, what you guys have, I'm not putting out shit. That's why there's no Discovery merchandise out there, really. There's very, very little Discovery merchandise other than like some disco shirts and like a Hallmark, USS Discovery ornament. Like there's no toy line. There's nothing. And that's on purpose because this whole legal thing. And so to see like how frail all of this world is, that we care about the story so much. The problem is all the behind the scenes shit scares the shit out of me. Like I'm like, well, this stuff could all like go away in just one swipe of a lawyer's pen and it's all gone.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just everything in Hollywood.
It probably is, which is why I hate when I learn when I look behind the curtain.
Yeah, I mean everything's been like rehashed over and over, and yeah, dude, I guess, I mean, you could make a lot of money in contract law, so if you could fucking sit there and do it.
Yeah, so that stuff scares me. I don't even want to go into it too much than what I've said. But there's if you go out there and just type in stuff on YouTube about, legal troubles with Picard show or whatever, and you'll find all kinds of stuff. And hopefully the George O show is okay, because that's really nobody that's canon really that we know from before, so they can do whatever they want to with that, kind of. I don't know. But the Pike one's probably got to be a little bit weird, but he's only been in a couple episodes, so maybe it's not so bad if they made a Pike show. I don't know. I just feel like you have this production team that's doing a real good job, and you have writers that are doing a pretty good job, and directors they're great directors that are coming in. The show looks great, and you're like, behind all of this, it's like one match from just lighting it all on fire. So, okay, let's back to bitching about the plot.
Probably a fair assessment.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So we got Pike. Pike's got the crystal. He does his thing this episode, so good for him. Like he's set. And he also, when he comes back to the Enterprise, like all that shit shook him up. Like he's not just able to brush that off like all his other life and death encounters he's had. Burnham catching him in space with a helmet that barely fixed itself, and all the other crazy shit he's done before in this season. This one, when he came home and they were sitting on the in the ready room, he was
but this one he knows though. This one he knows.
He's like, now I gotta process.
The other ones are like the time I was jumping on the trampoline and the fucking bottom leg popped out under the trampoline and it popped through as I landed and like grazed my ear instead of going straight through my fucking skull. Like you bounce out of that and you go, woo, I'm still alive, I fucking made it, all right, holy shit, I got a story, holy shit. Like, this one was, hey man, here's your death. Like, just, and by the way, you don't even get to die.
Mm-hmm.
These time crystals are gonna just fucking turn you into a giant mound of silly putty with eyeballs on a fucking floating chair.
Yep. But which is cool because because we know of how it ends up. It's cool that he spent not only these next years until the accident doing whatever the fuck he wants to, because he did pretty much, but he also figured out his way out, and that's going back to Talos 4. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, that's okay. The time crystal showed me, but I'm going to show it because I'm going to get Spock to take me back there, and I'm just going to live with this hot blonde the rest of my days. And I'll never know I'm in this chair. It's great. And I was like, that's the way I would handle it. Like, figure out what's next. Like, let me figure out what to do. I know I'm getting in that chair. What's next? So good on him. That's the best part.
Yeah, I would have liked to see like just the day of where he's testing the theory, right? Like, because at a certain point he goes, just like you've already done. Like, Pike's most certainly would have to go, all right, well, I know what the room looks like. I know what the situation is. So, I mean, until that happens, like, I'm pretty much just good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, there's not saying that, like, if he cuts his arm off, like, his arm's just not going to grow back. Like, but, I mean, did he jump from something really high? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not going to die. You know that. And like, you were moving in that.
You're definitely whole and mobile.
You were a fully functioning human adult at that point still. Like, so I want to know the night, like, he had a little too much to drink and was like, I'm going to stab myself and see how this goes.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he's not the type of person that is going to ask someone to, like, test this theory out. Like, he's not going to be like, Michael, I need you to shoot me. It's going to be him sitting there, like, thinking about it and then, like, centering himself, but probably in, like, a comedic kind of way.
Even better, here's what I need. I need it to be, he is now, like, the luckiest person in the world. Because, or in the universe, sorry to make it so small of a scale. Like, luckiest, so I need him, like, next episode for something that's, it's a fight scene, something, and somebody has him dead to rights. And they pull the trigger on their phaser and it shorts out. Like, that's where you're like, that's when you like, his face would be like, oh, I got this now. It's like, nothing's going to get me.
Right, yeah. That or like have something just fall that should have like killed him. And he just like sidesteps, like walking nonchalantly because he had no idea it was coming.
He stumbles.
And he's like, oh shit.
Or he stumbles and like the glass that was going to crush.
He trips out of the way instead of trips into trouble, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I want to see now is like he is literally the luckiest captain in the world up until that room. And I think that in and of itself as a plot device is magical. That would be so much fun to watch. Just weekly do it. I don't need a R2 story. Just this week in Pike's life of where I almost died for like 5 seasons. That's what I need, damn it. Let's see. So some little minor stuff for the episode because we'll focus on Burnham at the end. So some minor stuff. So we got to see Jet Reno again, and we got to see her. They were in the mess hall. We got to see Linus, the guy who had the cold that one season, that one episode, and he sneezed on the guy who died much later or right thereafter. We see her like kind of joking around with everybody and playing that auto anonym game with Linus and everything. But Stamets is there, and she's they know that they're getting a time crystal, and she's like, "Are you?" I like how she's like, "I thought we were over this. Like he left your quarters."
Yeah, dude, I was just about to point that out, dude. I love her, just like. Looks. I thought we were over this. Like, what are you still doing? That's so great. And then I like how Stamets, he takes offense to it a little bit, but he also realizes that it's like her way and their way of like communicating and dealing with each other. Like, if you're going to be such a rational person, then I need you to be a rational person. Like, you don't get to delve in and out of your emotions while this shit's going on.
Right. You can't just turn that shit on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so later on, she goes to sickbay and has her little meeting with Culber as well, where they go back and forth with how eccentric their partners were for their wedding planning, which was cute. And like, I think that's the first time since Culber's been reanimated that you've like seen him like have actually like laugh.
It's not about me. Right, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it was funny because you saw him walk in the mess hall and he's just like, it's a fucking Tuesday. Mm-hmm. He's just having a good old time with everybody.
But Stamets.
Like, it was like your girlfriend or boyfriend got a new girlfriend and boyfriend and was like, hey guys, let's be as loud as we can because Tommy's sitting over there.
Well, and it doesn't hurt that it doesn't hurt that he walks in wearing all white, so you pretty much light up a room when you walk in anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be that beautiful and wear that clean cut of a white suit and not expect people to notice you, right? Like, oh, right. You noticed me? No, motherfucker, you were the only thing I noticed. That's what that was. coming in here, a full fucking moon, just chill. Everybody's in blue suits, but old Doc Man's in straight white over there.
Right. Do you think Jet Reno got through to him at the end? Do you think that's going to be the turning point where he's like, oh, you're probably right. I do love the guy.
I want to say yes, but I have no vote of confidence in that opinion because I just think they're just gonna fuck with this couple so hard.
I know, we're so tired of it.
They're gonna yeah, like I feel like they're gonna just kick this dead horse. You know, it's always
for the whole series.
It'll never be a couple thing again. It'll always be we're finding each other, and every time you think it's like almost good, there'll be some weird shit that comes up. You know, and it's just like that's what you're gonna make them. And I feel that's what they're gonna do with it. Yeah. There's your hey, gay people are just like us too, and marriages fail, and they fucking fight and argue and all the time, and oh my god, the only difference is one of them can't get pregnant to save the marriage. Fuck, you know, like,
right?
I don't know. I mean, I hope. Like, I don't even care if it's I figured it out. I love the guy. I just make him not a dick to him for no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish whatever, like, chip he has on his shoulder, like, specifically for his ex, like, whatever that is, like, that needs to get wrapped up one way or the other. Like, either just make him go on about his normal life and Stamets be heartbroken, but then get him over it. Like, don't let him sit there and just be on the hook for this guy the rest of the fucking series. Like, that's just an injustice to two quality characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
They could provide more just standard. I don't need to be like the catalyst of episodes where something's almost right and then everything goes to shit with them again.
Yeah, and I feel like if that is the only thing they want to do with them, like, I just feel like someone's got just two little voodoo dolls and it's just like, how do we fuck with them this week, man? Like,
beating the shit out of them the whole show. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk Burnham and Spock and Gant, who turns out to be Robo Gant,
sister
T2000 or T1000 or whatever.
Yeah.
This
is when I realized I was not invested in this show.
Did you figure out he was Control before they did?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I must have not been watching it correctly.
As soon as they flash back to him, I was like, that dude's dead. I was like, that guy's Control.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whatever story he gives, it's a lie. I was just like, the fact that he's quote unquote been dead in my mind, even though I forgot about him dying, but I remember now that, like, they flash back to it, you know, like a show in his face for that brief moment. I was like, I feel like that guy's dead. I feel like he's been dead. I wasn't sure, but that's where my mind was with him, and I was like, he's Control. That motherfucker's Control. And then,
well, the worst part is that, like, just last episode, Control was stating the fact that it hadn't mastered, like, human emotions yet, and that's what tipped Giorgio off on Leland, and that's what did all that stuff. And then, literally this episode, when he first gets woken up, and, like, him and Burnham, like, have like a moment, like, they're like, oh, I'm good to see you, oh god, you know, because they both served in the flashback he saw was him on the Shinzo with her. Yeah. But, you know, he had gone on to whatever. But yeah, I was like, you know, I guess it didn't red flag me. I just wasn't paying attention. I guess I wasn't thinking that. I was like more invested, like, ooh, what's happened to the ship? Like, I wasn't like, I don't know why I didn't think he was like going to be Control, because I'm stupid and I don't. And
yeah, to me, anybody that's not been on this show is Control now. Like, that's just where it's at now. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the dude that's the lone survivor on everybody's fucking ship. I was just like, it's got to be Control. It's a trap. I don't know what the trap is. I don't know why the trap is. I don't know any of that. But if I was that space person on that ship, and as soon as I started talking to that motherfucker and realizing that everybody was ejected.
But you got yourself into an EV suit.
This guy somehow went, oh shit, everybody's being ejected because there appears to be a giant ship-wide vacuum going on.
Mm-hmm.
That he was like, hey, let me throw myself in this suit, pop the hood, and shoot myself out. Like, no one else had enough time to do that but you. You're the only guy that could do that. Like, lone survivor situations, I never trust. Never trust. I'm like, unless it's like, oh, the ship sank, or some shit like that. But like when it's always this floating wreckage kind of thing, and I'm like, multiple people could easily still be living in this scenario. Why are there no other people? Because that motherfucker always kills them all, or some weird demonic bullshit ghost things happening, right? Like, or now it could possibly be AI. That's the world we live in. Like, if you ever run across a like wrecked boat or anything, it may just be fucking AI fucking with you at this point.
That's right. There was so much more room for Jack on that door.
Yes. I mean, it was like a 92-inch door, easily, width-wise. We're not even talking length. You could have fit like 4 motherfuckers on that thing. The fact that door floated is more amazing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I should have. I'm ashamed at myself for not guessing that he was already infected. Of course, they're all infected. Every single person on that ship is infected.
Yeah, and plus he just looked like a weasel. You know what I'm saying? Like, if like my daughter brought that guy home, I would not have warm fuzzies, like, immediately. I don't care how nice and sirs and many things he dropped. I'd be like, nah, you're a snake in the fucking grass, dude. And I'm sorry I'm judging your book by the cover, but that's where it's fucking staying when it comes to my kids.
But you're greasy, bro.
Like,
I can't help it.
Yeah, there's no give here in old daddy spectrum on that one, bud.
Yeah. So
you did not pass all the filters.
Yeah, and so did they... So what did we learn from them going over to that ship?
We learned that it was a trap, and that we learned that if she reached for the phaser, that he could move in 0.08 seconds or whatever it was.
The only thing we learned was what you hate. The only thing we learned was what you hate is the fact that she is the fulcrum. She is the center point. That the trap was all to get her there.
Yeah, and so here's my thing. Like, that guy was like doodling with wires over there. And like out of his corner or backside of his head, because he's not even really fucking looking at her, was like, here's an exact obscene amount of quick time that I can move across this floor and break your hand before you grab that gun, right? Mm-hmm. And then like Spock chimes in and is like, hey, he's the AI. She's already figured that out, by the way. That little like interaction was enough for her to like get the gun, and then the dude like darted out of the way, right? I was like, okay, I get it. He's dodged the first bullet because it caught his AI ass off guard. I'll give you that. But if homeboy can move it under a second, that 6-foot span, at no point was Michael gonna ever fire another shot before that guy moved like 3 times. It was on her. So like, why that fight even lasted any amount of time, because that dude literally stated, I can move in under a second at this distance and be on you. Like, he should have killed her.
Yeah.
Like, she should have died 100% of the time right there.
Yeah, you're an AI controlled flesh machine, and you can take phaser shots and nothing incapacitates you. So why did you run for cover? Why did you initially run for cover and return phaser fire? You should have just rushed her. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And that whole scene and like the whole specifics of him giving the amount of time he can move across is just something one of the writers put in there so the human brain could understand how devastating this machine is. Well, don't fucking write something like that and then basically give it the reaction time of an elderly woman crossing the road, right? Like, you don't get to do that. And that's when I just went out loud. I went, I'm tired of this show being a bunch of smart people doing stupid shit. Like, I have now lost interest in your timeline, hocus pocus, Michael's the only answer story to give me these people and just throw me out in space scenarios. Mm-hmm. Like, that's now where I'm at with this. Like,
okay, so let's do a little role play real quick. If you were, how would that scene to have the same conclusion where Michael can't die because she's the point of the whole show when Spock can't die, of course, but he and the other guy has to get captured. How should that scene have gone?
Okay, really what it should have gone is if you were going to do it the way it ended with the magnets and the whole like Terra thing coming out, really what should have happened is from where Spock was as he was breaking the system to announce that it's the AI, he should have been doing the magnets. And what really should have happened is the magnet should have been ripped out of that dude as he was moving at Burnham. And that's when they were like, oh, magnets are our weapon right now.
Yeah, and that would have looked horrifically gross and awesome, because you would have had this dude like rushing for, and as he's going, like all the nanobots would be coming out of him towards the floor, or he would as a whole mass like gone to run at her and just smacked face first into the floor and then like started to like compress. And like that would have been so like, fucking cool.
There would have been so many different cool animations you could have done with that. But like, yeah, and then you could have had the whole like evil guy monologue where he explained everything to Burnham about her being the only anomaly, and that's basically my sole purpose now is to kill you so he can quote unquote restart humankind over. You know, like it just.
I'm with you. That would have been a way cooler scene, because they could have had him in a force field at that point where he could have then done his monologue after being captured by the, you know, and he could have been all like smashed up and like shit, like hanging on. That'd been so cool. That'd have been so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, if you're gonna, you know, have a bad guy like spout off some
super speed shit.
Yeah, or, you know, some tough guy fucking shit, man, like you gotta have the tough guy scene. Like, he should have been fucking Michael up. Like, Michael should have, like, maybe got a shot off, and he'd been like, I'm just gonna keep moving, and, like, she's like, Spock, hurry the fuck up, hurry up, you know, and he's like, hey, hold on there, sister, I'm doing this logical thing, chill out there, shall we, blah, 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 all backwards comm talk, whatever. And then he's like, I got it. And then all of a sudden, like, as you think the death blow's coming, it's like magnetism locks in, and homeboy just gets fucking wrecked.
Right.
Then that scene, then that whole, like, pendulum on the thing, like, you're like, cool, because now I know I have a Michael, like, Connor scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. I get it. Like, these things are now coming to hunt you the fuck down. Like, that I'm cool with. But this is still just like, nothing else ever matters or can happen unless, like, her day goes right. Like, it's almost like if everybody else is just kind of like, okay, she made it through Monday, I guess we'll all start our day now. Tuesday's gonna happen, guys. Like, we made it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yay, team! Michael's good. Where else? Let's go on.
Yeah.
It's sad, but you're right. And this season has had, and we both still agree this is the best season in season 1, right? Even with what's going on, are we still agreeing it's a better season than season 1?
Honestly, I'd probably have to watch like season 1 again, and that would never happen for me to make like a legit comparison.
Now it's the difference is becoming closer. Like, I think if season 2 has a edge on season 1, it's literally Pike. Like, it's because Pike, like, we're all just so in awe of him.
Season 2, I mean, like, started out way better. I think, like, with just the kind of the way they were doing stuff. And yeah, it was disappointing with some things. We're like, oh man, I wanted Spock sooner, or, you know, why didn't they tell us more about Saru? You know, stuff like that. But now it's just kind of, you were almost giving me a little bit more of what I wanted, I think, in the first season, with better stuff in season 2, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were like, okay, we made it to season 2, so we know we can invest more in this and that and blah blah blah, do things this way, you know. And it's, I don't know, I don't like time travel.
Right.
Like, because the problem with time travel, when it's not just a movie and it's kind of like done one of two ways, where that person is someone who goes through time and like fixes shit kind of thing, or they just stumble across the time portal and they're like trying to get the fuck back home, and it's like, oh, there's consequences, but nothing's really like crazy. Like, you're not gonna make Hitler 2, You know what I'm saying? Like, but this is just like, hey, we brought time in it and then nothing. Like, we're just going to tell you it's there and it's really important, but Michael's got to be it. Okay.
But still, more important than time travel, Michael. More important.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me get. So here's my thing. Each time this team has written a and I'm using this term, even though it bugs me, a Star Trek style episode where it's a one-off. It's something happens. They deal with the problem and it's solved by the end. There may be some overarching plot that gets developed, but mostly it's just a canned story. I'm speaking to like Saru's thing on his planet, the season 1 episode with Harry Mudd where he's doing the time looping, and that was a loop episode. Like those episodes that feel more Star Trek are the ones that we love because it's what we want. We want it to be like that. And it's actually people like you who aren't like so vested in the Star Trek style. They're still fun to watch because you have a solution. All I'm looking at now is 12 episodes and you've got 2 to wrap up. I just telling me who the Red Angel was. We thought that would have like brought all this clarity, and it didn't give a shit. Like by revealing the big question mark of the entire first 2/3 of the season, we're all like, okay, so it's her mom. Now what? You didn't tell me anything, and now we've got 2 episodes to wrap this up.
It's almost like they wrote everything with like 7 seasons planned out, you know, and was just like, all right, man, like we got 3 lit, so we can keep going. And this is gonna be one of those shows that like if it just gets canceled, there will be no like wrap it up or any shit. It'll just be like, oh, Michael was walking into the hair salon and fade to black. We're done.
Yeah. That being said, though, like the executive producer, like Kurtzman, has said that the end of this season will wrap everything up. Like everything is going to be tied up nicely. I think because they've already been cleared for a season 3, that they don't feel the need for a cliffhanger, which I don't. And I think they've said it's not a cliffhanger. Like the season wraps nicely. Like you're good. You're ready to move on to the next story, but it's not a cliffhanger like last year where it's like, and here's the Enterprise. Have fun with your entire raging Star Trek boner for the next year till the next episode, till season 2 starts. Because, but so at least that's what scares me though is you have 2 episodes and they have never put one out that's been more than I think an hour and some change runtime. Like I feel like the next episode could be an hour, but like the finale needs to be like an hour and a half. And I don't know why CBS isn't letting them like, because their stuff is really coming in real close to being like that 46 to 40 to 52 minute mark, like as the episode length. I'm like, you guys are on a streaming network. Like you can make this shit as long as you want. Like make the episode you need to make. Don't cut it like it's a TV show for television. Like you don't need an hour time slot. You've got whenever someone clicks play. So they don't care how long it is. So if the next 2 episodes are both 46 minutes, I don't know how they're going to tell me enough that I'm going to be like, and scene, awesome, great season, guys. Way to wrap that stuff up, everybody. Wrap party, good to go. Have a nice time. We'll see you in a year. I don't have that warm and fuzzy right now.
Yeah, that's the problem with. I wish more streaming shows would definitely do like what HBO is doing with the last season of Game of Thrones. Like, just take whatever fucking time you need to get this story out.
Dude, not even pay channels. If anybody used to watch Sons of Anarchy on, what did that used to show on? FX? Yeah, FX, right?
Yeah.
The FX was like, Kurt Sutter, whatever you need, sir. How long do you need? You need an hour 14? Perfect. You know what? You want 2 commercial breaks? We don't care. Do whatever you want. I don't know how he did it, but I would be watching shows and be like, I'm like, what fucking time is it? Like, how long? When did I start this thing? Like, he'd have.
Well, I mean, when you're the biggest show on the channel and like the top 3 show, like on any network, you pretty much they'll go, here, man, keys are all fucking yours. Do whatever you need to make it happen.
Yeah, well,
as long as it doesn't happen.
Don't pretend like Discovery is not. Don't pretend like Discovery is not the only thing funding CBS All Access.
I mean, I don't really think it pulls as much weight in that whole catalog as you think it does.
I think
CBS
I do.
Access.
I'll tell you why.
I bet you.
I'll tell you why I think I do, because you know what? I'm extending our subscription for a few more weeks. Do you know why? Because Twilight Zone just dropped, and they're like, oh, all the guys who are watching Star Trek, they'll dig Twilight Zone sci-fi type stuff, you know. And that's exactly what happened. I watched episode 1 and 2, and I was like, well, guess I'm extending my subscription a little bit longer just so I can finish up Twilight Zone too before I cancel it before Star Trek comes on.
Yeah, but that's just you happening to be a Star Trek person like that. I mean, that's not every Star Trek guy, and I guarantee, like, CBS owns a ton of fucking top shows right now, and it almost looks like they're just pulling their shit away from cable in general. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, you just come to fucking All Access if you want to watch our shit. Like, we're just going to be our own little Hulu. Like, that's what everybody's fucking doing.
I know. I hate it, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, like, I would almost guarantee that, like, if Star Trek went away right now, like, there would be a dip, but at no point would that CBS All Access, like, I guarantee if the big chiefs looked at the numbers, they would go, we'll take the hit, we'll rebound in a year. Like, they would have no problem replacing that show.
I do not agree with you whatsoever. We're bringing all the money in. Yeah, I don't have... I would like to... This season started out so strong, and so, like, it was good. It was very, very good. And it's just kind of like... As we keep going, I'm like, you're not getting it. You're not getting it where it needs to go.
But I'm with you, man. Anything that is not scheduled around commercial breaks for timing and shows, like if you're on a pay show or a subscription service or just an internet show in general, like that's fucking free. Like, you are not bound by any time restrictions.
Exactly.
It is what the viewer wants to watch when they want to watch it.
And they're going to watch it.
Yeah. Well, that's just the thing. So if you have like a 45-minute episode, cool. But also if you have an episode, like say Saru's episode, where you go, you know what? 65 minutes and we could do more. You know what I'm saying? Like, just... because you wanted a full hour just to explain a little something else. Okay, cool. I'll take an hour episode. You got something really fucking big, like maybe, I don't know, mom coming back through time that needs a little bit more explaining. Like, take a fucking 2 hours, dude. I'll watch a movie. I don't care.
Right.
I'll watch half of it. I'll come back to the other half. Like, that's why I have this fucking pause and fast forward and play button. That's why I don't go watch TV anywhere else. You know, like...
like, I'll get up. I'll be fine. I'll push pause. I'll come back. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I mean, I hate watching weekly shows. Like, me personally, I would wait for all of Star Trek to come out, and then I would just watch it over one weekend. Mm-hmm. And be like, okay, cool, I ingested everything. Because to me, TV shows and things like this are getting made in such a fluid way that not binge watching them almost fucks it up.
Right.
Like, it takes you out and in and out and in and out and in too much. It's like, nah, just put me in it. Let me watch it and be done. Like, that's why I don't get why, like, I'm paying for CBS All Access.
You need to clarify that statement. You need to clarify that right now. And you can even tell people you bought me a video game.
As I was saying it, I was like, damn it. Like, I know he's going to know what I mean here, but it's going to be funny either way. So, yes, you pay for All Access. I reimburse you with a video game. So. But it's like, why can't I just go watch them all? Like, why are you still giving me weekly segments?
Right.
Like, I slipped the bouncer a 20 to get in the fucking door, homie. Like, let me go dance. You know, like, I don't want to just fucking stand here.
And that is why I think you just counteracted your statement earlier of their content. Like, yes, they have a whole library catalog of stuff they're doing, but people, they've already seen that. And if it's not, you know, something someone's going to look for specifically, like, I need to go watch all of Big Bang Theory from day one, like, and I can't get it on, I can only get so many seasons on Xfinity or whatever, and they're all right here. I'm going to go watch this. But then there's nothing else someone's going for. So you have to, like, they're doing it monthly, they're doing it weekly, so they keep you for that stretch of time. They're starting another new show that people may really love, and a lot of folks are going to want to like check out. And if we even grab some of those folks, then the folks who were here for this show who would normally cancel will pick up for at least this show. And I bet you before the end of Twilight Zone this season, there'll be something else that's either an original show or the Giorgio show or who knows what coming out. It's like, oh, now we're going to hook the folks for this. And it's not going to be so obvious that we're just doing it for all the Star Trek people, but it really is just for us. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why they're doing it weekly, because they're not going to retain people. They're just not going to retain subscriptions. They're going to come in, binge, turn it off, turn it back on next time a new season comes on, if they were dropping them all at one time. This way, the buzz about it stays out there.
I think you just rely on people being like more like you in that statement. I guarantee almost like 80% of the people that have bought this subscription don't fucking touch it once it's just a recurring thing. You are in a like 2% group that goes, oh, my shit's done, I'm going to cancel it now. 98% of that just lets it run over.
Possibly
until they go, ah, man, I don't, and like until they actually go in there enough and go, well, I don't fucking use this at all, and that's been going on for like 6 months.
Yeah, agreed. You're right, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that that CBS is not required by law to like make that public, like the numbers, like that's none of that is ever required by them. I'm not sure if it needs to be. I'm not sure what it compares to like ratings wise. Like when you go, you can see every week, like how many people watch the show on normal cable television. Like you can go and look it up and say, okay, this week they had 5 million viewers for the show. And then for the week before they had 6.4. And then, oh, here's the dip and here's the raise. And oh, what episode was that everybody came and watched that didn't normally watch it? Like that kind of stuff isn't required by streaming services for their original content. And that creates a curtain where you're like, I don't know what goes on behind there. I don't know what the problem is. And I don't know what's the good, what's the bad, how can, because while it could also, well, I mean, to sound partially old and naive, we have a better chance these days in this time, in this day and age, to change things as a group of people who like one thing or who think one way than we ever had before. It happens all the time. Yeah, but I
also think like
usually it's for bad shit.
Sure, Fox is. I mean, every cable network has already proven like they don't give a fuck. Like they don't care how niche and hardcore your audience is. Like if you are not in the 8 millions of numbers, like they don't give a fuck at the end of the day. They go, bottom line, doesn't matter. So I mean, even if they gave numbers, the dude that sits at the tippy top of that chair ain't gonna give 2 fucks about any of the shit that's coming here at the end of the day. But they've already proven that. They'll go, look, dude, hey man, it was a great run. And then some kind of sobbish article will come out from the cast and the crew. And then it'll be, well, is Hulu gonna pick it up? Is Netflix gonna pick it up? Like, I mean, and the fact that like shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine got picked up and Lucifer got picked up, they were all shows that were pulling in the numbers and were just kind of like, why the fuck did you cancel it? Like Lucifer was a little odd, but to pick it up on Netflix and then to go snag those 3 or 4 million people for a couple more seasons, worth it to them. They go, I mean, everything's already set up. We're just literally putting our name on it.
Right.
Like that's all they're doing.
Agreed.
So.
But there's other times there's been other times, like for instance, just a quick example, the show Jericho, which happened to have Kenneth Mitchell in it, the guy that plays Tanavik. He was one of the main characters in it. It was one that like had this ending. It was a cliffhanger, and then they got canceled, and like there was this whole big rally by all the fans. And it's not a strange story. Like it happens all the time. Like where the fans like, wait, you're canceling my favorite show, and then they all explode on social media and send stuff to the studios and bombard people with letters and packages. Like I think for Jericho it was like nuts, like actual like peanuts, because there was some phrase like where the guy was like on nuts at the end, like when they were getting ready to start this big giant firefight, and so like everybody was like, let's just send everybody fucking nuts at CBS or whoever hell it had them, and like they just and they got it back for at least one more season. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there is time where there's like a grassroots thing, and you can spread the word a lot.
I get that, but like it's and I hate being this guy because I'm so positive, but it's like It's like a once in a million fucking chance. Like, honestly, I read a quote from Stephen A. Smith the other day, and like, Stephen A. Smith annoys the fuck out of me because I just think he yells too much. Like, you can get your point across without yelling, but it's entertaining, right? But he was like, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Kobe Bryants, the Kevin Durant's, LeBron James, like, he's like, I don't consider them the American dream. There's like a 1 in a bazillion chance to be that person. But he was like, I'm the American dream. You can work hard and be like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You can get to Stephen A's level. And even Stephen A's like, anybody can get to my level. Like, that's the American dream. Like, your show like Jericho getting revamped for 1 season versus like, say, my show Life on Mars that they had enough bitching about after The Writer Black where they wrote 1 episode to fucking write it off. Like, those are both once in a blue moon fucking things. Like, we can both just hit an infinite scroll of shows that just got axed. And you're like, why? Like, especially if you go back and look at it now and you go, that was literally like the most popular fucking show on TV at that point. It's just, I think at the end of the day, man, corporate America doesn't give a fuck how much yelling we really do. And the only time, like, it seems that any of that stuff works out is when you have actors and actresses that have enough pull to even make it happen.
To join the voices of us mediocre normal folk.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, I don't remember who was on Jericho, but like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a lot of those characters are definitely B+ to A celebrities through other things. Like, they're just not known for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's like, so they could just, when those kind of arguments come up, it's always like, all right, well then this won't work for your studio for a while. Like, just don't send me contracts then, like, I think you got to have a guy that's got to have like a lot of pull. Like, obviously a show like Star Trek or something would have like an infinite fan base that would just scream to the top of their fucking lungs. That was like, you gave it to us. We love it so much. Like, I honestly don't care if you're just spoon feeding me hot piles of shit. Just leave the fucking show on the air. Like,
right. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Like, that fan base is just super dedicated. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Like when you are a Trekkie or you are a fucking Star Wars dude, like, that's your shit. At the end of the day, as long as that name's on it and they're doing something that remotely resembles what it was, whether you like it or not, deep down you're happy it's there.
Yep,
you may bitch about it for the next 5 years, but deep down you're like, I'm fucking glad they fucking threw one bone my way at least.
We can all list off our most hated episodes of every series within Star Trek. Be like, oh, this episode, that one sucked, and this one sucked, and this one's. I mean, there's a list of mile long of horrible episodes in each of these series. But you're right, the fact that it is on TV somehow, I don't care. I'm like, that's great.
Yeah. But man, like, if things kind of keep going the way they're going, especially with like more millennials getting into office and doing stuff, grassroots movements and actual like raising awareness may actually go a little bit further than it does right now.
I agree with you that corporate America on the top of the rung don't give a shit about the normal person on the ground level. But you're right. There is these days, that was definitely true back when the internet was hardly existent. No one gave a shit. You had to go outside and picket things and go places. Now you can just do it from behind your computer.
But then if you got that kind of uproar, you were like, oh shit. Now the fact that just anybody can hop behind anything nameless and write that your mother throws rocks in hell and, your whole family's been gang raped by fucking whatever, and just be like, hey, peace out, love God, have a great day. At the end of it, like, you just can't, like, you have to take all of it with a grain of salt, right? Mm-hmm. So you go, I mean, just the fact that you can look at a $1 billion movie like Captain Marvel, and then you have like strategic plans on Rotten Tomatoes just to tank the score. And it's like, you guys are so stupid. Like, at this point, when I look on Rotten Tomatoes, if I see a shit score for a $1 billion movie, you know what I know? It's fucking really, really good. And a bunch of angry people deep down just really fucking hate life. And that's all that is.
Yeah, very true. You have to pick and choose who to listen to.
Yeah. Don't listen to us. We don't know shit.
Anyway, speaking of not listening to us, thank you guys. Thank you everybody who tuned in, and don't forget to.
It's only hour 46. We got
What's
like
that?
another it's like what, an hour and 46 recording. We got like at least like another 20 minutes of just bullshit we normally go through.
I think we covered the episode pretty good. Like we said, there wasn't a whole lot to it.
There really wasn't, man.
Michael's the focal point, and Pike's gonna be like Indiana Jones in space from now on, like Han Solo, Indiana Jones, like all mixed into one. Just like not gonna get hurt by anybody.
Yeah, you need a whole like the learning in the Matrix, like jump across this roof. Like you just need those episodes with Pike,
where he's learning that he cannot be hurt. That anything you do to him is he's got like what he has is like the lore behind Wyatt Earp. Like where there was numerous accounts during his career where people
like
had fired guns directly at him and the bullet has missed, that kind of stuff. Where you're like
misfires, or like of all the things that was shot at him, in no way but this 1% chance would have went through the armpit of his jacket,
and it did.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
That's what Pike is now. He's Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, basically that's what he is.
It's great.
Yes.
Make that fucking show. All right, I'm done yelling about it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's the show. That's Star Trek Discovery episode 12. We got 2 more to go. That's our podcast. We will see you guys next week. Probably not the same day or the same channel. We'll just find us. Subscribe to us. Turn on notifications. It never happens the same day twice. But we love you guys that listen all the way to the end. And we will catch you on the flip side.
See you guys.